This has to be the most cursed series of all time. Battlefront has a long history of getting the short end of the shit stick.
Like a shit stick collection. Like I could have shit stick all across my living room.
From the shutdown of Pandemic Studios, the cancellation of Battlefront 3 when it was almost finished, the underwhelming reboot in 2015, the real money transaction loot crates that were directly tied to player progression on the launch of the sequel to the underwhelming reboot. Not to mention the insanely time-gated and paywalled Heroes, which EA infamously tried to defend as players having a sense of pride and accomplishment. A post that's still the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. And now this. Even the classics aren't safe anymore. They've now exhumed the bodies of the first two games and paraded them around like it's Weekend at Bernie's. Aspyr just came off a pretty damn successful release of Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remasters, bringing those classic games back to life. They've also been porting Star Wars games to console for the past 4 years or so. So enter the Battlefront Classic Collection. It was announced a few weeks before release, and it got everyone excited to watch out for those wrist rockets again.
Watch those wrist rockets!
And you know what? They got people too hyped, because Aspyr could not have steered their ship harder into an iceberg with this lazy port. And while this video is mostly about the Steam version, many issues can be found in all versions of the game. Before we get into all the cons though, let's see what they're selling for 35 United States dollars. Battlefront 1 and 2, the single player content and multiplayer modes. A couple new heroes, Kit Fisto and Asajj Ventress. Hero Assault can now be played on all ground maps, not just Mos Eisley like before. And there are a few new multiplayer maps. The 64-player online battles are back, and even have dedicated Aspyr servers. Other than that, it is still Battlefront. Not remastered, just ported from the old console versions of the game, even for Steam, with the console UI that leads to many other issues. Alright, let's jump straight into it now. Dedicated servers have the lowest reinforcement count setting at just 100 for each side. For those unfamiliar with playing Battlefront, every time you die, which is very often, you respawn and it takes up 1 ticket for your team. So in 64-player servers, this results in painfully fast rounds that end in just a few minutes. Meaning you will almost never be able to play as the advanced classes that cost points, especially not the heroes. The only way you'll get to play as the advanced classes is if you play out of your mind for that small amount of time, which you won't do, because every server lags. Ping under 100 doesn't exist. You'll also disconnect from servers 80% of the time when the map changes, and that's a generous number. The game is also 62 gigabytes. To put it into perspective, the originals on Steam make up a combined 12 gigabytes. Cyberpunk is 70 gigabytes. Battlefront 2 2017 is 90 gigabytes. Those upscaled textures be hitting different now, don't they? Shipflight has inverted controls with no option to change it, at least not with some in-depth tinkering. Playing on dedicated servers also results in wild camera glitches on death. Every single death. Some players report getting locked at 30 FPS online, and sometimes you can't join one of the sides on Hero Assault. Sometimes you can't respawn for the rest of the battle, leading to a swift all-cap to end the map, and then everyone gets booted from the server because the map changes. Scoping and zooming can just break sometimes. Text overlaps in the kill feed. Sometimes abilities just don't do damage.
Watch those wrist rockets!
Or their graphical elements don't appear. Sometimes you just straight up can't spawn after joining a server and then get disconnected. Did I mention you just randomly get disconnected for no reason all the time? And I don't know how it was in the original, but the sound effects just don't seem to occur where they're supposed to. And some sound effects just don't play at all. Hey! Oh, did I do that? I'm sure there are more problems, even some that are less offensive, but as it stands, this is very much not worth $35. It's not even worth dollars. It seems like Aspyr bit off a bit more than they could chew. Although they have done ports for literal decades at this point, they may have awakened a sleeping beast with this hype trailer. The beast that is the starved player base who wants a decent Star Wars shooter again. Not only were their servers not ready, but the port was way unfinished. So what has Aspyr said in response to this? Well, they thanked the players for their support and feedback and are working on it. That's it. No apology, no ETA on when things will be right again. This game was second top selling on Steam prior to release. This trend of taking old games and slapping AI upscaled textures on them and reselling them to people is finally hitting critical mass for the first time, and this preying on nostalgia isn't going to be forgotten for a long, long time. As for the single player, I heard there's also a few issues. I admittedly didn't play the campaigns or Galactic Conquest, but the load screen sounds aren't the same for some odd reason. And some cutscenes are apparently missing. It's really just an overall embarrassing release. I wish I had something more positive to say, so I'll say this. There were just a few points during my gameplay where I felt like it was old Battlefront. Just a fun arcadey shooter in a conquest game mode. But even if it played flawlessly, it's still classic Battlefront. We've come a long way in terms of shooters, and its age shows after a while, but it is what it is. It seems Battlefront fans, and Star Wars video game fans in general, just can't get a break. And they'll probably have to wait a long time for this port to get to an acceptable state. But as it stands, you're better off just buying the originals, modding them out, and playing with a community. I don't have any cheeky joke at the end of this, it's just really annoying and sad. They got everyone excited for nothing. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you're also playing the Classic Collection and what your thoughts are on the whole thing. Huge thanks to the patrons who sponsored the creation of these videos, and special shoutouts to the Master Tier supporters, Aquarial, Heliomorpha, Jordan Rowe, the Avion 12, and Uninvited Haggis. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.